doing. I mean, we're going to all these different real estate events, onboard real estate investors. It's kind of our niche just because that's where we come from. So we speak their language. And man, I mean, I've never seen something like this in my life where basically I feel like I'm the surfer out in the middle of the ocean and I can see the tidal wave coming. And for once, I get to be in front of the tidal wave instead of behind the tidal wave. And that's literally where Pulsechain's at right now, man. I mean, you got to take a step back and look at the grand picture to see it all. But once you do that, you're like, holy shit, it's about to hit hard and it's going to be great. So that's my perspective on it, man.
Yeah, and I like how you say Pulsechain is just massive leverage on Ethereum, which obviously with the what some
It
people
is.
call treasury fund from the SAC funds being all in ETH now. If ETH does well, that drags us up. And
Let me talk about something on that real quick, because everyone's like, "Oh, there's 170,000 ETH." I'm gonna tell you guys that's wrong information. There's 318,000 Ethereum in two wallets that we know of that likes to buy our shit. Yes, I'm including Godwell's wallet. No one knows who owns the Godwell keys, but there's two wallets that own 318,000 ETH that likes to only buy our like. We're massive leverage on Ethereum. And if you think Ethereum's going to do well, which I do, I think the bottom when Uniswap basically said, oh, we're building the L2 chain, you saw the FUD going around on Twitter and everyone's fudding out on ETH and random Mars dumping his ETH into Sol. I think it's the bottom. I think ETH is at its local bottom. But I mean, this is it. I think this is where the tide changes. And if you believe ETH is going to do well, I mean, well, like a 3 to 10x, right? Anywhere in there, I'm good. Like, Pulsechain's gonna do masses over that. I compare Pulse to an Ethereum in ETH terms. I put it on the weekly and I put it on a line chart. And you can see, man, we have got great market structure against ETH over the last months. And I mean, it's just, we're going to pump hard against that asset. And
Yeah,
ETH is
so
going to do well too.
Corey, I've been following that chart, and I noticed we've been in an upward channel there, pulse against
Yeah,
Rapteeth. So I think pulse against Rapteeth really is the key, is the quantifier of how
it
Pulsing's
is.
doing. And I think what
It
I've seen
is.
is, I don't know if you saw that we dipped down on the price of pulse against Rapteeth. And what I
Sure.
saw is I think that they pulled money from Pulsex, Pulse, and Ink to partially fund that hex pump we saw. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Dylan likes to call it the great rotation. I think it's going to be, short-lived. I think Hex will do great. I just don't know if that's going to continue doing that throughout the entire cycle. I mean, it could. I own bags of all of it. I don't try to guess which one's going to outperform because I think that's just stupid. I'd rather just own it all. But yeah, you saw a lot of the bigger ink guys going into Hex, like a lot of the big pulse sets guys on this recent Hex pump. And who knows? I'm sure there was some signaling there, going into the Richard Hart court case, stuff like that. And yeah, it was very interesting to see. At least we saw Hex come to life. The problem that we had this last little rise up in price we had back in March is that Hex didn't really do much. It was like Ink was the star of the show, and then PulseX did really well, and then even Pulse did okay. And Hex did like 2x. It's like, oh god, that was lame. We need Hex to come and do something because I mean, the community's built off of the Hex, the Hexicans, right? Like that's why we're here. And Hex needs to be it needs to be a blue chip asset if Pulse Chain is going to thrive too. I mean, it's what people are going to look at, what people know, and I think it will. I think it will. Richard knows this. Hex needs to make an all-time new high to be a blue chip this cycle. That's just facts. It's not like me speculating, and that's what has to happen. If Richard wants this to be a multiple cycle asset, it has to make a new all-time high. So remember that, guys.
Corey, I 100% agree with that. And on the onboarding front, I'm sure, we've all gone through the phase of onboarding people with Hex in the past. I know that slowed down. We all know Hex onboarding has slowed down because everyone we onboarded
I know that slowed down.
but I would say so in the new kind of wave where, let's say I'm onboarding people into Pulse Bitcoin because that's what I'm passionate about.
Sure.
I know for a fact people have to buy Pulse first of all, but I make sure they buy Hex first of all with far more money than I do my shitcoin. Do you know what I mean? Hex has to be our main focus, because Hex is the main product. So on that note,
It really is.
let's bring
Well,
in.
that's the purpose of these spaces too. Like, I mean, we
Why?
have to.
Here's a question, guys. Here's a question. Why is Hex the main product? I'm interested to hear what you guys think about that.
Well, okay. Let me answer that. It's very simple. We've been told so many. Why was Pulsechain built? For the last year, people were telling me, "Oh, Pulse is gonna do this amount of X's. Pulse is gonna do this amount of X's." No, Pulse is not the thing that's gonna pump Hex. Richard Hart created Pulsechain to pump Hex. Like, why do people find that so
Correct.
difficult to understand?
Correct.
It's
Correct.
not difficult. What look,
Correct.
you were even given a taster in the last month, right? Where did all the money go? It went into Hex. It didn't go into Pulse,
Hmm.
didn't go into Pulsex, didn't go into Sensor Token,
So here's
didn't
so
go into
here's an
EHEX.
interesting concept for you, right? This is I'm just going to spitball here. Now, Richard said on stream, he said on multiple occasions that he does not care if now we're diverting away from like the Pulse Chain projects. We're just talking about Hex now, right? But I think it's good to have this conversation. What if the liquidity that was brought in because of Pulse Chain, which is the safe haven for Hex, is effectively the exit liquidity for those that actually invest in Hex, right? Now that grinds with me in some ways because I'm a builder on Pulse Chain and I want our product to succeed on Pulse Chain and I don't want it to be someone that pumps the price of the core asset or the core token to effectively just be an exit liquidity source in the form of Pulse or incentive or Pulse X for those that buy and stake Hex. But it seems to me that that is the design by design and what Richard has done. And he doesn't care, like he said, he doesn't care if anybody builds on Pulse Chain. So anybody can obviously like retaliate to that or say what they want, but I believe that that's what Richard's main goal was. I can't wait for the Richard Hart Museum because when the Richard Hart Museum comes out, Richard Hart is gone if he's not already gone, and this chain needs to kind of free its wings to fly a bit. But it's never going to do it on its own. It's never going to do it without other projects building on it. But that's my kind of thought process on where Hex is. You know, we can spitball and talk about all these different ideas. Open the floor to anybody that wants to retaliate to that or say anything to it. That's what I believe. That's
But I don't think it has to be what onboards people to Pulse Chain. I think what's going to onboard people to Pulse Chain are the type of DeFi protocols that we're going to be featuring, on this spaces, and all the things you can do. I mean, there's a lot more built than I ever expected before the chain came out. I initially thought it was just going to be like hex staking, liquid loans, some of the like famous and these things. I thought that maybe we could be like 10 projects on the chain, and then it was just going to be all the hexagons. But I was just truly blown away by how many projects and DeFi protocols actually ended up getting built. And I think that's what we need to use for onboarding people is, hey, do your lending borrowing over here, do your farming over here, the high APYs on these these farms on these protocols, like 9inch. I mean, these are some of the hidden gem onboarders for Pulse Chain, in my opinion. And then we get them over here and they have to have Pulse Chain to operate. They have to have like the core assets to to get into a lot of the farms, and that's kind of what's going to get people interested in all the cores. So yeah, I mean, let's bring up another protocol.
when Richard Hart Museum. When Richard Hart Museum.
About Hex a little bit later on, so I'll come back to that. But for those of you that don't know, you probably should know already. 9inch is the second biggest DEX, I believe, but second biggest DEX on Pulse Chain. We started out as a bit of a joke, a play on 1inch, which is the aggregator on Ethereum. What we've basically done is we've taken the best features from something like PancakeSwap, from Pulsex, from things like Solana's Jupiter, and also what we've done is combined it into a DEX. So we have a DEX on Ethereum, we have a DEX on Pulsechain. We provide single-sided staking. We provide limit orders. We provide things like creating and deploying your own token with ease. We have the ability to do V2 and V3 liquidity, and we have millions of dollars worth of liquidity paired to our native token, which is 9inch. We have 9inch on Ethereum. We have 9inch on Pulsechain. We also have the BBC token, which is the incentive token given out to those who provide liquidity, whether that be single-sided staking or whether that be in the farms. and it's been pretty successful. It's been doing well. We started off a lot of doubters, a lot of haters, a lot of people thinking that it was all a big joke, and we've provided millions of dollars worth of liquidity, and we've also given out millions of dollars worth in rewards as well. So our goal really is to gamify and make it simple for individuals to come onto our platform and to be able to bridge to Pulsechain, to deploy tokens on Pulsechain, to be able to degen if they want to degen, to be able to, we even got a front end for Pulsex, we've even got a front end for Hex. So if they want to get involved with that, they can. We've even got a scan as well so that you can see on-chain transactions all on 9inch. We make it as simple as possible for that. Now, the other big feature that we don't really talk about is we also launched it on Ethereum. So when people sacrificed and participated in that, they also got their tokens on the opposite side as well. And we do everything that we do on Pulsechain on the opposite side as well. Now, there are other things that we have done, sub projects that have kind of combined into what we provide. The other things that we've done is something called CoinQuest. For those of you that don't know, Pump Fun is one of the best performing degen gambling creation that's come about as of this cycle. So it's famous on Solana for being a very easy, kind of crazy, I would say, token casino on Solana. And we decided to fork that, bring it across the Pulse chain, and then instead of taking the fees for ourselves, we give it back to the community and the participants in a leaderboard system where we incentivize people buying and holding the tokens rather than cheating it down. And we give away those fees on, I think it's on a monthly basis. So that is coin.quest, and that is a side project that we created. The other things that I'd also like to highlight as well, we've just started out, we've done an airdrop because a lot of people are going in this kind of Pokemon meta narrative that's been going on chain, particularly with Pulse Chain. And a lot of the degens, the kind of the old BSC community, if you guys were aware of those guys, a lot of degens like to get involved with that. So we got involved with the Pokedex, and then we did an airdrop for people, a free airdrop for the 9 token, which is the Ninetales token that's been given out. Guys, we're getting about $1,500 in airdrops, just given out for free to the community. So our goal really is pretty simple. We're a bunch of degens. We are meant to be a meme coin dex specifically, but we've kind of turned into a big dex that wants to make it easy to onboard people into Pulsechain, but also there's exposure on the opposite side if they want to be on Ethereum and never want to come to Pulsechain. But we integrate that. We try and make it as easy as possible and as functional as possible for degens, for people who are in the crypto space or people who are not in the crypto space. Make it as easy as possible for them to participate.
Yeah, on that note, just really quickly, because I want to move on. No, the liquidity has not been affected by that, but yeah, a lot of me and my friends have been utilizing the 9-inch 2% pull, and yeah, I've got to say the UI is brilliant. You guys done a really good job, even though as you have the casting couch and that more meme ability, that joke stuff, but the actual functionality of the serious stuff, it works. I'm a big supporter of it. So yeah, thank you guys at 9-inch.
Great
Yeah, and I
product
want to.
market fit. That's we're dealing with an ecosystem that's 99.5% guys. There's going to be dick jokes, and 9inch has the product market fit for that.
Before we move on,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just want to say how bullish I am on the decks as 9-inch, both 9-inch and BBC, just because they're so undervalued against Pulsex and INC. So I think the market cap right now on the 9-inch tokens is around 8 million. We're talking like super undervalued compared to Pulsex, which has many more features. I mean, limit orders. We're in day one. They have more farms, like dozens of farms. They have single site staking. They have the coin pools, meme coin pools, which are a fork of Pancake Swap. So if you own BBC token, you can stake BBC, single site stake for all these meme coins that are launched every few weeks to get like eyes on them, and you can earn them for free, and you can always just swap them into whatever else you want if you want it to compound your BBC. So it's just like free money if you own that token. But I've been using it for over a year. I've been farming ever since they launched, basically. And it's probably one of the biggest like opportunities I think with yield farming on and earning yield on Pulsechain that can really like onboard people from other chains. They just have to get aware of it. But yeah, just look at even BBC is only a $2.5 million market cap, where INC I think is what, like 70-80 million. So just if you're looking at those metrics, I think it can do really well. But yeah, I mean the team has built a lot. So congrats on Money Gang, and I'm glad you joined the team to get the marketing and the word out. So
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it, and I will say one last thing. Sorry, Fat Sammy. One of the only little disappointments that I've seen is that the native kind of hexicans who love ehex and phex, there was a farm that we started from the very beginning on Ethereum to be able to have both and on Pulsechain. Sorry, actually, I think it was specifically on Pulsechain, bridged in ehex to phex pair, and you could have just earned BBC, which is the incentive token, and you could have just provided a lot of liquidity. We wanted to provide more liquidity on the Ethereum side because we wanted it to get on a lot of the aggregators. So we wanted to provide that platform, especially when Uniswap decided to delist Hex and had all of the problems with that. And a lot of the hexicans, instead of kind of helping us out or trying to provide more liquidity so that we can be up there, they decided not to participate, maybe because they didn't like us or whatever. So they're still available. It's around about 30% APR. I think it's on the Ethereum side. So go check that out. If you like eHex and you're bullish on eHex, Hex Classic, as some people say, and also pHex, go check that out, bridge some assets across, and then provide some liquidity.
Thank you so much.